Imagine, for a moment, you are born in a vat of metal, placed in a containment tube, and you would cry, but the air, it's changing, condensing, it's getting hard to breathe. Outside the tube, your mother watches on in silence, raising no hand to help you, and your father looms beside her, angry and waiting. Both stand as statues, watchers on the wall. You can't breathe. Your lungs feel like swamp water and your heart can't swim. You're fading, falling away. The light starts to dim as you crunch on the floor. You, an infant baby, snuffed out so quick. What a shame, you think as you fade away. Watching your parents see you there, not lifting a hand to help you. But I only just got here, you think as the light goes out. I only just got. The air stops, sudden as death. One moment you're being tortured like no other, and the next, you're released. You raise up your eyes, and you see the tube has been opened, and your father stands in front of you, with a smiling mother beside him. The doctor smiles too, and as you lose consciousness, you hear the words, "He is strong." Childhood is strange. By any standards, you're taught the history of your planet, Viltrum, host of kings and conquerors. The history teacher smiles in the classroom as he speaks to you dozen infants. "What is Viltrum?" the classmate asks him, and the teacher looks up at you all. "Viltrumites," he says, "are no pack of wolves, no pride of lions, nothing so simple. We are hunger, for all come wanting. We are shelter, for those who bend. We are not chosen by prophecy, divination, or any god. All we have, we wrenched from the claws of lesser races, not out of pleasure, but for the good of mankind. We found those starving, crying wretches in the far reaches of the outer world, war-torn, disease-ridden planets with nothing but grief, sorrow, and sadness, those lost sheep. And we offered them shepherds, protection from the wars that assail them, healing from the plagues that slay them, and firm hands to guide them through the storm." You take a breath. You are in awe of your people. What a legacy to live up to. The teacher looks down the room, staring right at you. "In Viltrum, we rule all. In Viltrum, we do not yield. We do not bend. In Viltrum, the world bends for us." He looks around the classroom. "I'm not hearing you," he says, and your classmates say it with him. "In Viltrum, we rule all. In Viltrum, we do not bend. In Viltrum, the world bends for us." History, classics, literature, math, art, all live to glorify the empire. And as you study it, you learn that there is nothing in this world stronger than the fruits of your ancestors' labor. And as you learn these things, the art of war, the quickest way to incapacitate, the politics of the galaxy, you meet someone, a fellow student, tall with dark hair. You call him number 8, and tell him your name, number 5, for you both haven't earned your true names. So these will have to do. And in the nights, those few offhand moments in between training and study, you play with number 8 in the hidden sands of Viltrum, flying through trees together, hiding from each other, racing through the shifting waters. Peace. You are 7 when your parents take you to the arena, the colossal pit in the capital city, surrounded by leagues of spectator rows, and the seat for the emperor, who watches on. You will fight here, your father tells you, to earn your badge as a warrior. To failure, you ask? To death, he replies, and you nod, for you learned long ago that arguing, resisting, isn't worth the struggle. The crowd roars above, clapping like thunder with superpowered hands, legs thumping in anticipation, drums matching the sound of your heart. And so you enter the arena, ready for war, to finally test all you've learned. "Bring them out," you whisper, then shout, "Bring them out." In front of you walks number 8, shivering in fear. Your blood drops as you look to the Emperor's box, and you fall to your knees, pleading. "Please," you ask him, "please." But no response comes, and the onlookers sneer, because in Viltrum, there is nothing so disgusting as a bent knee. "Get up," number 8 tells you. "They'll only make it worse." And you stand, and look across at him, his legs shaking. He was never a fighter, not like you. You face him now. Number 8, you say. I can try to hold back. He blitzes forth with the strength of a mountain, and only the long-trained balance in your legs keeps you from falling. His eyes are corded steel. Gone are the quivering of the legs, the shaking of the hands, the uncertainty. Here now is the warrior, flying towards you like a hurricane. You exchange blows with him as the crowd roars on in approval. Unseen tears well in your eyes as you go blow for blow beneath the quivering drums, the shaking heat. Finally, a show. Yes, number 8 is strong. Yes, his blows land with the strength of boulders. But there is no single chance on this earth that he can win. You knew it when you were born, because the doctors said that you lasted in that pressure tomb longer than any child they've ever seen before. His body is banded steel, but yours is an unseen carbon, twisted upon itself to perfection. Your ancestors have been waiting, praying, mixing, in order for something like you to come to fruition. A Viltrumite, to rule the rest. An emperor. You look upon him with pity, for he thinks this is a fair fight, intended to pit two friends against each other. But you know the truth. He's not a fight. He is a door set in place for you. And as the Emperor looks down on you, he bids, he forces you to open it. You look down to see his heart in your hands. The roars of the crowd deafen your ears. And you look into his eyes. Number 8, never even given a name. And he smiles at you. Go, he says. Conquer. The academy goes by quickly after that. Every fight ends the same, with them screaming for mercy you can't give, begging for an exit you can't provide, beating with a heart no longer in their chest. You learn more of the Viltrumite way, of the planets in the Empire, the enemies of the Empire, and those in between. You learn of the Purge, the moment in Viltrum where the strong slayed the weak until only the strong remained. And you wonder if the entire universe is being purged. They received no burial, had no funeral rites. Like number 8, no one remembers them. And as you read of it, you think of number 8 and swear to remember him. And if you ever get to visit his home planet, Renna Prime, you'll burn a pyre for him. You graduate from the academy, no longer number 5, simply Conquest, no longer a boy, but a full-grown Viltrumite with fire in his belly. You stand in front of the Emperor with your fellow graduates, and he smiles down at you. Conquest, he says. I will send others to scout planets, offer them terms, make them understand our empire, the benefits, the rewards, but you, he smiles, I will send you where others fail. You do not need to know anything of politics. You will be my mad dog. And now I set you loose about the Empire. Go, he shouts, make true the name I gave you, and conquer. And so you do. Wars on countless shores. You raise them to the ground, the silent, the brave, the quiet, the loud, those who resist, and those who come peacefully. Because when they send you, they've already condemned them. You are no negotiator, no speaker of peace, no leader of men. You are the Empire's blade, the harbinger of death, the silent kiss of the night that brings about eternal sleep. Some call you base, an animal, a godless slayer, but you don't see it that way. After all, from Viltrum to the Ashen Isles, when men see your figure in front of the setting sun, they pray. They pray for safety, for a hero to save them, but their gods do not protect them, and there is no golden hero in the stars waiting to save them. The only thing in the sky is you, and day after day, year after year, decades, centuries, you purge them from this world. Thraxa, purged, you reply. Centauri, purged. Titus, purged. But Duma, Insigni, Pentus, Estelle. You stand in front of the Emperor, head bowed. For 1,000 years, you say, I've done all you've asked. Purged, plundered, reduced creation to ash. If you would beg me pardon, I ask you to let me rest for a time. The Emperor looks down on you with his hawk eyes. Rest, he says. Do you know how long I worked to make you, boy? You look even further down to the ground. How many races, how many trials I went through to find a specimen like you. All this for you to stand before me, Agral, the solar ruler of the known universe, and ask for rest. Look at me. You stay looking down. Look at me. The room thunders with the sound of his voice. He's powerful, you think. More powerful than anything you've ever seen. But it wouldn't be... No. You look up. You will rest, he says, when your bones float in the void. But stand strong, my child, because I have a task for you. You are to breed, because I need more conquerors. And your eyes go wide. Which planet? You ask him. Renna Prime. You descend like a falling star, down on the planet of your childhood friend, Renna Prime. After all these years, you don't know what to expect, but it's beautiful. Verdant greenery surrounded by teal waters and vibrant shores. In the distance looms the capital, and the palace, and you fly toward it. And they look up at you, fearful, but they knew you were coming. You land in the palace entryway to a dozen kneeling soldiers, dark-skinned, like number 8. And you nod as you walk between them, and the soldier shows you to the throne room. And you look up at the colossal scarlet throne, and the figure on its seat. You have no words. There are women on Viltrum, it's true, but only after seeing her do you know what it is to be called a woman. She is starlight, unlike anything you've ever seen save for their stellar explosions. You walk toward the red-haired woman in front of you and she smiles. Hello, Conquest. She reaches out. Thank you for blessing us with your presence. You nod. I'm told you know my task here. So soon, she replies. I'm a busy man. So I see, but do busy men eat dinner? You stare for a moment, then nod. Follow me, busy man. She leads you through a velvet walkway to an elaborate dining setup in the palace, with strange foods you've never seen before. You sit down, and she sits across from you. Eat, she says, and you look down and take a breath. What a shame. You could smell the poison from outside the castle, but this close could give you a migraine. You look at her, and eat it. Eat it well, eat it all. And she watches you, smiling. And after you finished, you sit there, perfectly fine. And she sighs. You know, don't you? That I do. She snaps, and archers appear overhead, crossbows primed at you. Do you really want to do this? You ask her. She holds up her hand. You are a pig, she says, from a race of slavers. You nod. Do you really want to do this? She watches you, spots that fire in your eye, the conqueror, and her arm trembles, and she places it down. You stand up. I'll be back tomorrow, you say. I expect a more pleasing welcome. You fly off into the night. The next day goes well. She welcomes you into the throne room, and then the room fills with poison, and you spare her. The day after, swords in the walls, and you spare her. The week, the month, the year, atom ray, plague needle, saber of light. She tries to kill you in all sorts of ways, the creative woman, sparing no effort, no expense to rid the world of the monster known as you. And slowly but surely, you come to admire her for it. A strange thing, to fall in love with a woman trying to kill you, but her resilience, it inspires something inside you. And so the night comes, when she meets you in that throne room, and the room fills with a new poison, and you stand in front of her, perfectly healthy. Enough, you say. I knew one of you once, a boy Viltrumite, but he had your skin, your hair, and your eyes. I'd like to burn a pyre for him, if that's alright. She looks up at you. Is this a trick? She asks. Rest assured I do not need tricks. And she nods. Very well. Follow me. You watch the pyre burn with her, tall and grand in the sky, and the flickering sparks dance in your eyes, reflecting the feeling that you felt that day. She looks upon you, seeing the grief in you. I'm sorry, she says to you, even as she holds the dagger to your back. You smile when it breaks on your skin. Me too. And you fly away. The months go by quickly, with her, Leah, creating new ways to kill you, and you sparing her every time. Something about this game has interested you, piqued at the depths of your soul, and after the assassination fails, you talk with her, of her home, her customs, her past, and slowly, The attempts get worse, more repetitive, and when they stop, you are in love. She smiles at you the day your firstborn son is born into this world. There is no pressure tube waiting for him. Instead, the welcoming mother smiles down at him, and you struggle to contain the joy on your face. Hax, you name him, because she told you it meant 8 in her language. And soon, a second son comes, and you name him Rex. And the nights you spend with Leah, Hax, and Rex, they make you anew. No longer the conqueror, the weapon used only for battle, but the husband, the father, the king. You're happy, happier than you've ever been. So happy, in fact, that you ignore it when your wife sneaks away in the dark some nights, doing God knows what, and you couldn't care less, because she always comes back in the morning, and you love her for it. The night is quiet, save for the howling dark. You look across the other side of the bed, and Leah is gone. Alright, you stand up, and head for the children's rooms, and you frown, because they're gone too. Stop. You find them in the hangar bay, preparing a ship for departure, and you stare at your wife, watching her. Leah, stop. She keeps packing, ignoring you. Stop. They'll be 18 soon, she says. Viltrumites in all but name. I won't let you take them. I won't let them be tools in your war. I won't let them be like me, you say? And she freezes. If you're a good man, she says, the man I saw at that pyre, then you'll let us go. You stare at her. Do you trust me so little, you ask, that you would think I'd let them live my life? She looks upon you shocked. Stay with me, Leah. I promise you. I'll never let them take my children. The next day, you take your sons to the courtyard and teach them the art of war. They are your offspring, and because of that, they are more powerful than most other Viltrumites, but that won't be enough. They need to be conquerors if they want to stop them. You train them in weapons of death. You teach them the weak points of a Viltrumite, the back of the neck and under the thighs, and you teach them the histories, not the false history taught on Viltrum, but the real history, the history of colonization, of imperialism, the slavery that the Viltrumites have enforced since the dawn of their emperor. A history that you, your sons, Leah, and her people will end. They learn quick, and you're grateful for it, because the years go by, and it's a rainy day when the Empire comes to run a prime. You stopped replying to their summons long ago, and they knew something was happening. And so as the sea of Viltrumite soldiers parts in front of you, you stand in front of the palace beside your sons and your wife, meeting them with steel in your eyes, the eyes of the conqueror, and the soldiers of Viltrum parts in front of you, and the man walks out. As Emperor Argal steps out in front of you, cloaked in the fur of his fallen foes. Conquest, he says calmly. Did you forget your name, worm? Your eyes float to the ground, but Leah catches your chin and lifts them up. You nod toward her, grateful. Our armies don't need to die today, you tell him. Only one of us. He smiles and nods. Just so, he replies, and takes off his cloak. A good stretch before an extinction. You scowl then, with the rage of a burning sun, and walk toward him as the armies make a circle around you. I've long waited for this, worm, he says to you, and you circle around him saying nothing. You think this is the first time that someone's taken a liking to some backstreet filth and rebelled against me? No, you say, as you look at your wife. This will be the last. You fly at him with the speed of a falling star, exchanging blow for blow with a madman's fury, parrying, dodging, and fighting with your bare hands. You may be the emperor, but you are the one who conquered planets in his name. You were the scourge of the systems. You were the bane of the stars. Time had made him frail, old, weak. And as you fight, as the blows descend like hurricane winds, you realize something. You're not a saint, a freedom fighter against a colonial king. You love this. Every bleeding jaw and every breaking neck, you love it. This clash of kings, this ballad of war, it completes you like no other. You are no savior, no king, and at your heart, you are one thing, and one thing only, Reaper of men, a Viltrumite. And you take him on with the full wrath of your fallen friend, the full weight of the people you must now protect. That man is no emperor, no ruler. He is a door set in place for you, and as the emperor stares down at you with fury in his eyes, you force him open. You look down to see his heart in your hands. Behind you, your wife and your army celebrates. and your son shouts your name. The other Viltrumites too shout your name. Conquest, Conquest, Conquest. Our new emperor, you look down at the emperor's still beating heart, and you look into his eyes, and he smiles. You stupid worm. Wake up, wake up, wake up! You're alone in a familiar room, the hangar bay, and in your hands is a heart, still beating, but not the heart you dreamed of in that long daydream of yours, but the heart of your wife, who looks up at you from the ground, lifeless, and your sons lay behind her, too young to know what you've done, and a tear marks your cheek, a familiar feeling. You take your sons in your hand and leave the planet, going back to Viltrum. You think of looking back as you fly off, and think better of it. You descend down an unfamiliar planet. The new emperor gave you orders, and you must obey. You fly among the tall buildings and vast amounts of water, looking for your task at hand. Ah, there he is. You fly above the boy in black and blue. He seems injured, recently in a battle, no doubt, but you couldn't care less. You descend from the stars above to stare down at him, an image many have seen before, and you speak. Stand ready for my arrival, worm. That was a story inspired by Conquest from the Invincible series. Now, I most definitely took creative liberties. However, after seeing the final episode of Season 3, I felt a strange sense of empathy for Conquest after he made that speech about being lonely. And this is what I thought of as a potential life story for Conquest. Please make sure to like the video as that helps me a lot, and subscribe if you enjoyed, as a lot of you aren't subscribed yet and that would greatly help me make more videos. And by the way, I started a Patreon, so please check it out for my scripts, or simply to support the channel so I can make more videos more frequently and at a higher quality. Also, join the Discord, we have fun there.